Jaguar in California. You are on the line with Jimmy and Matt.
Hey, assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh, gentlemen. I just found you guys'
If we could do the whole thing in English, we would prefer that, because I can't figure out whether or not you are swearing or saying slurs, or I know assalamu alaikum, but I don't know what I can't tell.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum means may peace and blessings be upon you. Rahmatullah and God's mercy. And
yeah, but I don't have any way to verify that right now. But I thank you.
You don't have chat. You don't have a Google. You don't have. You can take my word, brother. I try to live an honest life. I'm a man, so you got to live.
You're a man. So you have to live an honest life. Are your pronouns he, him? Because it says here you don't have pronouns, and as a man, I would expect your pronouns to be he,
we have to be a man of our words. We have to live up to what we say, so we can't just be over here just, saying certain things that we don't live by.
I don't know that any of that's true. Can we get to your evidence for God? That'd be great.
Yes, I have. I found this evidence on my search for, I'm assuming you guys are doing, you guys are asking, is God real or not, And I thought the same thing too. I was atheist for a long time, and a little bit about myself. I am a man of science. I study biology. I go to UC Santa Barbara. And, obviously I have to have some sort of evidence, and I can't just take something for just face value or just because he told me or this was said, I would need to see some sort of evidence. And on my quest, obviously reading all the scriptures, and especially growing up here in America and, me being of Mexican descent or whatnot, I grew up Catholic. And so obviously I read, what they would call the Old Testament and the New Testament. And I read it a couple of times. And the first time was what turned me to be
okay, atheist. I'm going to stop you.
And
I'm going to stop you now. I don't care if anybody thinks it's rude or interruption. Let's be clear.
No, it's okay.
I don't need to know that you think you're a man of your word. I have no way to verify it. I don't need to know that you used to be a Catholic or an atheist. I don't need to know that you're a man of science. I don't need to know that you demanded evidence or you needed evidence. It would be interesting to know if you considered yourself a skeptic, because, skeptics aren't going to believe something until there's sufficient evidence. But you called in to say you have evidence that God exists. I just want to know what it is.
Mm-hmm. And I found it, and that's what I was going to say. And when I was searching for that truth, I found that truth or the evidence or proof,
Jaguar,
whatever you want to call it,
Jaguar,
evidence or proof.
Jaguar,
I found the evidence in the Quran.
Jaguar. I'm asking you what it is, not where you found it. Why is this so hard for you to answer a simple single question?
Okay.
So here we go.
Okay,
here we go. Try this again. Stop talking. Stop talking and listen. What is the evidence that you found that confirms a God exists?
It's called Bayena.
Okay.
Oh, well, we're defeated now.
That is a couple of phonemes. That is not evidence. It's not even a cogent concept that I can evaluate.
What you can look at the words, and you can self-evaluate the words that are being presented to you that I just showed you, and then you could take that as what
I found the evidence that your God doesn't exist. It's called Budidubapa.
Yeah.
Did I just prove your God doesn't exist?
I muted him.
Oh.
I asked you to present the evidence, and what you gave me was possibly a word. It may or may not be an English word. It could be a Spanish word. It could be an Islamic term. I don't know. But saying "bruh," as Jimmy pointed out, is not a presentation of evidence. It is not a coherent or cogent concept that anybody can process at all. I'm starting to think Jaguar, the former Catholic atheist, current Muslim with no pronouns, who's a man who tells the truth, might not be honest. And I don't like that, because that could just be me having a bad day. So let's reboot. In a second, I'm going to unmute you. And we're going to start over. And all I want to know is, can you tell me what evidence you found that a God exists. If you just utter a word that is incoherent, I'm going to hang up. So what evidence have you found that a God exists?
Okay. So while reading the book that I call the Quran, that everybody knows about, I came across a chapter. It's not just the word is the title of that chapter. So that chapter talks in detail what that word means. And so that is the evidence that was sufficient to prove that God was real.
How does that prove that a God is real?
You would have to read the text. Just like science,
Okay.
we peer review stuff.
No. If you're calling, so you don't understand science at all, you don't understand epistemology, you don't understand how to demonstrate the truth of something, you can't say, ooh, there's a chapter in the Quran, and if you just read it, you'd see the evidence for God. Well, I have read it because I've read the entirety of the Quran. And next you'll tell me that I need to read it in Arabic or whatever. I just haven't read it in Arabic because they don't speak that. And if that's the only way God can provide evidence, then God is as useless as your call. When I say, what is the evidence for God? You can't just say, you should go read this book. I would rather you call in and do a weak ass book report than just call in and say, you need to go read this book.
Actually, I have a book on my shelf that's a rebuttal of the chapter you said. It completely proves it false. So you're going to admit defeat now, right? Because I claimed it.
I got to unmute him. So Jaguar, Jimmy has a book that proves your book false. What do you got to say about that?
You have a whole book for one little chapter? Yeah. Let me hear it.
Yeah, it's a whole book. It breaks the whole thing down. It's on my shelf. So I've told you that now. So you're going to admit defeat, right? Because I told you. Oh, I don't know.
No. What is the book called?
You have to read it. You have to come read it.
What is the book called?
You'll have to go see it.
The chapter is within an actual book that anybody can go grab. Everybody can go grab a Quran because they're free. So that you can turn to the 98th chapter and read it. Okay, so now tell me your book that you have.
Hang on. What's the fucking chapter?
I told you it's the 98th. Okay, it's right before 99. Right after 97. Okay, it's a small chapter.
Okay,
and you have a book on your shelf.
I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you, you prick. I'm going to read the entirety of that chapter in English right fucking now. Surah 98, the clear proof. Al-Bayanah. Those who disbelieve among the people of the scripture and the idolaters could not have left off till the clear proof came unto them, a messenger from Allah reading purified pages containing correct scriptures. Nor were the people of the scripture divided until after the clear proof came unto them, and they are ordered not else than to serve Allah, keeping religion pure for him, as men by nature upright, and to establish worship and pay the poor due. That is true religion. Lo, those who disbelieve among the people of the scripture and the idolaters will abide in fire of hell. They are the worst of created beings. And lo, those who believe and do good works are the best of created beings. Their reward is with their Lord. Gardens of Eden underneath which rivers flow, wherein they dwell forever. Allah hath pleasure in them, and they have pleasure in him. This is in store for him who feareth his Lord. Okay, Jaguar, I have now read the passage, read it to you, to everybody else. How does that in any way demonstrate that a God exists?
How?
I don't care. You're a liar and an idiot. Goodbye.
Did he hang up or did you?
I did.
Oh, I was going to point out, he made my point for him. I made up this book on the shelf, and rather than ask me what the name of the book is or not the name of the book, rather than ask me what's in the book, how does it debunk? Ask because we're in a conversation for a summary of how that is possible. Instead, he actually went with what's the name of the book? And it's funny because it's like, we've now done every element of it, reading it. I even found, if you go with Quran.com's interpretation, it's slightly different, but it's the same message. There's nothing that is remotely evidential amongst any of it. And
It
I
is.
hate to say this because it starts to sound bigoted at a certain point, and I get that people are sensitive to certain types of language, but Muslims are way worse at this, I
Yes.
find, than most theists. The Muslim challenges to atheism and proof of God somehow are always the worst ones.
Oh, not the
I
worst.
don't know what to tell you. In my
So
experience, yeah, right, amongst the worst, yeah.
listening as charitably as possible, him asking for the name of the book it is about him saying, okay, what is the name of the book so that I can and others can go read and check it out. I'm telling you the name of the book everybody knows. But you're right that not asking what does the book say, because that's the important part, um, is telling. But here's the thing. If I were to list how ridiculous religions are, basically, the newer they are, the more ridiculous they are. Christianity is more ridiculous than Judaism. Islam is more ridiculous than Christianity. Mormonism is more ridiculous. Scientology is the most ridiculous. And as the newer and ridiculous scale shifts up, the apologists for said religions are increasingly and similarly and proportionally less effective. And part of it isn't even their fault. They just have a lot more to account for. For example, when somebody wrote Genesis, we had virtually no understanding of cosmology and science and geology and biology. We had no explanation for the origins of language. We had nothing. And so it makes sense that ancient people would look at those things and say, oh, well, let's tell a story about it. But when you move forward, we get past, we didn't even have the Greek understanding of logical reasoning at that point early on. And then you add to that. And now we have a better understanding of the world. We understand the world better now than we did 5 years ago. Well, maybe not. Let me take that back. We generally understand the world better now than we did 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, et cetera. It's really bad. But I don't think that Jaguar is actually a Muslim or a Muslim apologist. Jaguar, the man who needs to stick by his word, who's a man of science and needs evidence, points to an absolutely useless scripture that basically suggests, hey, people aren't going to believe until they get a message from God. And the people who don't believe are the worst, and they're going to go to hell. And the people who do believe and do good, they're the best. This isn't evidence. This is rah, rah, here, hooray us, fuck the rest of them. That's not
It's not even
evidence of a
exclusive to
God.
Islam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's parallel verses in Mormonism and Christianity. So are they
Yes.
true too?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're all pointing to the same God. Oh, I'm just going to say garbage. They're pointing to the same garbage. Your God is garbage. Allah is garbage. Islam is garbage. Scientology is garbage. Mormonism's garbage. Christianity's garbage. Judaism's garbage. All of these things are garbage. Your God couldn't so much as give me a hangnail. Your God hasn't done shit to me or anybody else in any verifiable sense, has never spoken to anyone, has never inspired anyone. The God concept may inspire people, but what I find the God concepts typically inspire people to do is to be shitty to other people, in part because they're afraid that they're different. It is so pathetic that the best your God can offer is crap like that.
Hello, and that was, if I had to say, probably the worst clip I have ever seen on the line. Frankly, that was terrible because they say a lot of facts, but we have alternative facts on our side. Now, do remember that if you are seeing me next to some woman who, frankly, not impressed, but if she were to laugh, that would be an endorsement of me, Donald Trump. A laugh is an endorsement, so do not smile or your face will crack. Don't do it. You can't do it. Okay, I really thought she would break by now, so it's kind of ruining the bit I'm trying to do here. But you can like, you can subscribe. Oh, there it is. She endorsed me.